set boundaries with my external life. And I'm so grateful for my village because, I've been seeing more of when they call, they're like, and it's something heavy. They're like, wait, can you take this right now? And I will say yes, or I will say no, but I
love
answer
that.
accordingly. And
I
I
love
do the
that.
same for others. I will, if I'm calling Dr. C3, hey, do you have the capacity for this? Because you may not have the capacity, and that's okay. That's setting boundaries.
How do you know when to tell someone no? Like, because I feel like that's part of prioritizing yourself. That's, the whole
Yes.
self-care. Hey, Entreleaders, happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. If you are new here, I'm your host, Dr. Charity C. Campbell, better known as Dr. C, and I am a doctor of management, a world-class millennial global leader, academic professional, and multi-passionate entrepreneur. Here in the Leaders Lab, we talk all things entreleadership, communication, and balance as a millennial professional. And one of the areas that we are going to be talking about specifically this month is mental health. Mental health is a topic that's often stigmatized and brushed off. But the truth is that mental health affects us in every single area of our lives in one way or another. And so it's very important to be aware of the signs and the symptoms so you can get help if needed. Now, in today's episode, we have a heart-to-heart with the Alysha Williams, better known as Theranista. To me, I call her 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗗. And we are going to be talking with her today about prioritizing your well-being and how to maintain a healthy mental state. So, Entreleaders, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me welcome our dear sister gal to the Leaders Lab, back to the Leaders Lab, Alysha. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you back. You were with us a few months ago for the, single successful women panel that we had. How have you been since then? What have you been up to?
I have been great. Hearing you call me Dr. Licious, it never gets old. It never gets old at all. But I've been good working on a lot of different but the same things. I'm still teaching. I am currently actively taking my own clients for my own private practice, Theranista Wellness.
Yes. Wow.
Currently just trying to balance it all, as well as, working full time and doing all of the many things that I do, trying to, live life and balance all of that, which is, what we will be getting into today, but just being able to manage all of the things. But honestly, I will say it is a great sweet spot to be in. And I'm just so grateful. And also I've been styling. I'm back taking on clients for styling, and I don't mention that enough because I'm always in like these therapeutic settings, but I also style because ultimately that's who the Theranista is, helping you look as good as you feel and feel as good as you look, right? We can't have one without the other. So I've been learning to get used to stating both of my, passions.
Good. Because for those of you who don't know, Alysha is a licensed clinical social worker. She's also a university professor, and she's an expert in all things mental health and fashion. Okay? We have known each other. I don't even know how many years we've known each other.
At this point.
It's literally been so many years. And Alysha and I have the connection from a previous ministry that we attended together. But Alysha actually has styled me in many of the photos that you guys see, posted on my website, social media, things like that. Like, she has been, whenever I go back to the States and I purposefully schedule a shoot, I call her because she is my stylist. She styled me for TV. She styled me for a few preaching engagements. Listen now, this woman right here, you know she's dedicated when she irons your, listen, I had so much fabric. That dress was so much fabric. It was a jean dress at that.
We had you fly,
it was
though.
so
You
much
was
fabric.
so fly.
And it was all because she's literally gifted in this area. So when I tell you that, you know, it's an honor to have her back in the lab with us. I'm super excited. For her complete bio, you can check out the description box in the show notes. And also, you know, it'll be a link of everything. But I want to focus one thing that you know is her motto in life is helping you to look as good as you feel, or feel as good as you look. What is it? Because I know it's a combination between like, you know, the way you feel and the way you look, which is therapy, you know, it's the mental health, and then it's also the fashion. So how did that come about?
So helping you look as good as you feel and feel as good as you look ultimately was the best way that I could combine both of my passions. For so long, you know, it was I just did styling, and I launched Fetch Fashions back in 2018. And so and I launched Fetch Fashions after just being obedient, right? Because I was just I was just into fashion for fun. I was just styling to me for fun. And so I remember the day vividly that I got the word, and I was like, really, God, like this is what you want me to do? You know, you want me to maneuver into entrepreneurship? I don't want to. Like, I was perfectly okay with just, you know, being the best social worker that I could be, with working for somebody else. Like, entrepreneurship just wasn't on my radar, honestly. It wasn't something that I felt like I had to do. But with Fetch Fashions, God was like, okay, no, you have to be in this realm. You have to move towards this industry. And I'm like, I don't want to, though. And so, of course, you know, I would rather be obedient than disobedient. So, so, you know, so I began to, you know, put pen to paper and just figure out, okay, what does this look like? You know, how do we make this come alive? How do we make this concept, this word, this business, something that, yes, you've seen before, but you didn't know what you were seeing. So how do we, you know, make it look in reality? You know, how do we bring it to fruition, basically? And so with that, launched Fetch Fashions, and I started off just doing styling, photo shoots, working with a very major hairstylist in the area. And I just, you know, started doing little things and opening myself up to, you know, various opportunities. And then in 2019, I experienced a very tragic loss. And so Theranista probably came a little bit before then, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I was also trying to navigate, how do I want to show up with both of my passions? And so I was able to probably bring it all together effectively around maybe 2020, when I decided to let go of Fetch Fashions and just completely do Theranista Wellness, because I'm like, I need these two entities to live together, because to me, they are so very important to me, for me. And so I know that it will be great for someone else.
Yeah. So if someone said, well, what does Theranista stand for? Like, what is a Theranista? Like, if somebody's listening, they're like, well, because I know what it is, because I know the story, you know, but if somebody's like, well, what is Theranista? So what is that? How did you come up with that name?
She is a therapist and a fashionista. So basically, I am like great with little words like that, right? That's like my thing. Everybody calls me, they're like, hey, I need a name for my business, or I need a name for my event. I'm like, okay, here it is. You know, that type of thing. So I really enjoy just, you know, creating fun words, right? Because this world is creative. We're creative, right? So of course, therapist and stylist, it just, you know, combining that just didn't have as much of a ring to it at the time. So I said, okay.
I can't, like, I'm literally in my mind, because, you know, I do the same thing too. We both, like, we're really good when it comes to branding and coming up with names and stuff. And so I'm like, therapist and stylist. Like, And you can't do stylist first and then therapist, because then you still just have stylist. Like
Exactly.
you have ist at the end. So that's not really working. So
Exactly.
uh-huh.
So since
Yeah.
everybody, fashionista kind of came and it has never left. It
Yeah.
has, rode the wave of all the trends and all the things. And so I just slapped it onto the end of therapist and I said, we're going to make this work.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you didn't say something like Theranista, because that's too
Yeah.
much. Like that's just too long. Like we need to keep it short and sweet. Theranista is
Exactly.
it. And I love what I have seen you do with that brand. I remember, for those of you who don't know, Alysha is actually one of my mentees. She is actually probably the exclusive mentee, because I'm not saying I've ghosted other people. I have definitely when I know that you're not serious, okay, come to me in a few years when you are.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I don't have time to, we are multi-passionate entre leaders.
Yeah.
We don't have time to chase people. And so when someone says, hey, can you be my mentor? But you're not doing the work and you're not showing up. And I'm checking, when I do check on social media and I don't see you have anything going on, but yet you're always scrolling and liking stuff, you're being a consumer and not a producer. Then I say, okay, well, this isn't your time right now. This isn't the time to work with me right now. But I can say that Alysha has been one of the ones that have been, like I said, exclusive, because I ain't cut her off from services and prayers and things like that. So she's still in there. But I remember it was back in it was before 2020, actually. It was back in 2019. It was back in 2019 when we did that Q4 plan, that fourth quarter plan. And you were it was still Fetch Fashions at the time. And you were tinkering around with doing more with it. But then when you made that whole overhaul to Theranista, and I loved, you had the grow with me, grow with me. And I live in China, so I hated that I could not be a part of that. But what was that like? Because this was therapy for young women. I feel like it was like therapy, counseling, mental health, all of that for young women. Tell us about that.
So with the Grow With Me event, it was a garden dinner for women to just come together and enter into a safe space. In mental health, safe spaces are very important, because our mental health causes us to be vulnerable, right? When we are starting to do the work, it opens up to emotions that, we block on a consistent basis, or we might, kind of dib and dab into it, but then we're like, no, it's getting a little bit too, I'm feeling too much. Let me shift. And so I wanted to invite these women into this space. And so actually, a lot of people were very upset, because it wasn't like an open invitation. It wasn't like I put out this, event on Instagram and was like, hey, you all get your tickets, X, Y, and Z. It was actually no cost to the women that came. I completely, it was my event. And so when I say it was my event, I completely paid for everything. And I allowed God to show me who he wanted there. And so he showed me about I think it was like 15 or 16 women, 12 came. So it was successful in that regard. And I created a flyer and I told them, I said, all you have to do is dress. It's going to be outside, so make sure you dress comfortable, dress very, flowy, spring, summer type, summer dresses and stuff. And so I had no clue that it was going to be what it was. One, shout out to my sister, Fab Functions, because she just really brought my vision to life. When it comes down to my events, I am grateful. When it comes down to certain aspects of my life, I'm grateful that I don't have to carry the vision for everything, right? I just have to carry the vision for the ultimate goal. I have inspiration when it comes down to, what I think I want it to look like. But I'm so grateful to be able to, have a sister that I can say, hey, like, this is my idea. These are the things that I'm seeing. What can you do? And at first, I was not seeing what she was seeing. But when I walked out my house and seen what she created, I was like, oh my God, like,
right, ready to cry. Like, this is real.
Exactly. Like, I need to get it together. I have women to host. And they were so taken aback. And the way that I will say that it kind of came to was because I remember I have a girlfriend that that year my uncle passed, well, was killed in a car accident. And so that, for me, that was very tragic. That was my traumatic loss. And so I remember her reaching out to me to check on me. And she said, if you need me to just come sit with you, then I will, like, just let me know. Like, it's not, taken away from anything. Like, I will come sit with you. And just her offering sat with me. Just her offering, because we weren't girlfriends that hung out all the time. We weren't, we work together often, I'll say. She's a model, I'm a stylist. We work with the same hairstylist. So we always work together in that regard. However, for her to tell me that she will come and sit with me, that it did not require anything of me, I was like, wow. Like you will do that for me? Like, take time out of your day, offer that to me. And not saying that nobody was doing that, but for her to do that, and she was not in my everyday, it just, to this day, I'm just so grateful. And I just knew that there were other women that had to be experiencing what I was experiencing. Not maybe exactly, not necessarily grief, but that there were other women that just needed community. And as I'm sitting here right now saying this, all of a sudden, this connection of, I started in a female organization at North Carolina, the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Shout out to my alma mater and current employer.
Aggie pride. Aggie pride.
So in this moment, I realized that I have often created these spaces out of the need for community. And that is why I started 100 Collegiate Women back when I was in college. Because again, I was in a space where I knew that other girls had to be going through my same college experiences or something similar, or just the feeling of feeling alone, feeling like you're drowning, feeling as though there is no light at the end of the tunnel, when we know that there is. However, it is looking very small. And I need help to get to the end of it so that the light can become bigger and brighter. And that is how Grow With Me came about. Just wanting to create these spaces of community for men and women.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think community is essential for mental health, for mental well-being?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because
how so?
It normalizes what you're going through. It normalizes what you're going through. It allows you to see that you are not the only person that is experiencing this. And it's not to disregard how you feel. It's just to show you that this person went through this, so therefore you can too. It may not be the exact same situation. It may not be the exact same feelings, or it may be. It may be the exact same situation. It may be the exact same feelings, but it shows you that this is something that can be overcome. Community is important, and just support. You need somebody to push you past where you are in that moment.
I agree. There's, I think that's one of the reasons why, even as an expat living here in China for so many years, I think that's why wherever I go, well, for one, now I do enjoy my me time. Now that's something that has come to be in my adult years. Because when I was younger, I used to want to be around people all the time. I used to love being around people all the time. Love being the life of the party. Love laughing. I loved it. And then I started noticing that, man, I really like being by myself. I'm a really awesome person. Just sitting. When you just have those revelations, because you're not hearing the validation from other people. People telling you that you're great, and you're just like, well, let me just sit back and explore this myself. Like, can I take some time to be with just myself and actually like myself?
Yes.
And I found that was twofold. Half of me I liked, and then the other half I didn't, because I had a lot of negative self-talk. I had a lot of, and one of the things that I found out, and this is why I say I love having heart to hearts, because then you just have like all of this unplanned stuff that comes out,
Yeah.
right? But one of the things that I discovered, Dr. Licious, was I needed community to help drown out the negative, like that inner critic, those negative thoughts, that negative self-talk that I had like for years. And it was like being around a lot of other people and letting them like talk and kind of build me up was a way to suppress the negative self-talk, but it didn't rid me of it. It wasn't until I got to myself, like I sat with myself and I kept hearing it over and over, and it making me feel like, one, like I was going crazy. Okay. Because let me tell you, your inner critic, honey, will have you like feeling all types of like insane. But it was that, hearing all of this ugly stuff, these ugly thoughts about me, about myself in my alone time, that really had me to go to God and be like, yo, what's going on? Like, why am I know these ain't your words. Like, I know these not your thoughts about me. So, why do I feel this way about myself? Like, what is it? And how did I not know about it for so long? And it was because, like I said, I was always around other people. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love community. Even here in my new city in Guangzhou, I miss the community that I had built back in my last city in Dalian. But I'm still building community here. It's not the same yet or at the same rate, but I'm still building community. However, even now in this like, I won't say this season of solitude, it's not really that, but even now in this alone season, like as you grow and you develop, there are new things that come out. You have good things, and then you have like, oh dang, these flaws also followed me. Like here's some flaws that followed me too. So I need to deal with this negative thinking pattern, and I need to deal with this way that I feel about myself or this insecurity, so that I can still continue to get better. I can become better on this level, because I've already been better on the other levels. That's why I've passed and succeeded. But so what do you say to someone who is they value community, but right now they're in a place where they're just like, I need to be by myself, because in a way I feel like that's the way that I can prioritize my well-being, is to kind of separate myself a little bit, not isolation, but it's the separating myself for a while so that I can prioritize my well-being and not be so influenced by my external factors and things like that. So I don't know, what would you say? Is that good? Is that bad? Or
no, that's a great thing. So
okay,
I am. Oprah should really start paying me to say this quote, because I got it from one of her books, and it has stayed with me and really saved me from just a lot of myself. But it's this quote. It says, balance lives in the present. Balance lives in the present.
Wow.
We have to have balance. And mind you, as much as this quote has helped me, it has also been my biggest struggle, because we want to do so much, and we want to be all of the things, and we want to, as creatives, we see so much. As visionaries, we see so much, and we're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to go here, I want to, it's sometimes that alone can drive us to the end.
Crazy.
Yeah, like flat out, right? But we have to be able to set boundaries. And so with balance comes boundaries, right? Setting boundaries on your isolation, setting boundaries on your on being in community, right? And sometimes, and I don't want people to think that being involved in community means the turn up of life. Sometimes it could just be actual community events, the things that whatever you're connected to. Community is whatever you're connected to, whether it's friends, whether it's intimate relationships, whether it's church, whether it's school, whether just being able to realize where you are in that season. So like, for instance, Students, if I know fall semester I'm very active, spring semester I might want to scale it back some. If I
Like that.
know in my full-time job, if I schedule in my day accordingly. Me and my mom have been very big right now on just taking things moment by moment,
Yes.
prioritizing our day. And I am only going to focus on the day. I'm
Mhm.
only going to focus on the day, what I have to
Yeah.
do in the day. And that is all I can do, because some weeks when you are a how do you say the word, entrepreneur,
Entreleader. Yeah.
entreleader,
Entrepreneur
when
and a
you are
leader.
an
Entreleader.
entreleader, you are doing everything in a day. You're
Yeah.
doing everything in a day. So, like, for
Yeah.
instance, Tuesdays are my busiest days. Today is
Wow.
Tuesday in the States. Tuesdays are my busiest days. I teach grad, I teach undergrad. Sometimes I have a client in between. Sometimes I have a client first thing. Today, I
Mhm.
have therapy, then class. I have to make 1,000 calls. I have to run a couple errands. Then I have to get to class. And then I have to do my hair. I
Yeah.
have to do all of this today.
Because it's necessary. Okay. We
I
listen.
have to do all of this today, and then find some time to just breathe.
Yeah.
So
No,
I told
no. I'm with you.
to just sit and breathe and say,
Mhm.
and you would be amazed at what that does.
Mhm.
Right? And
I
so,
used to do that in my car. My
yeah,
sit and breathe moments used to be in my car when I'm driving.
listen, 30 minutes outside my house, outside my door is necessary at the end of the day. It is necessary to my mental health at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you are doing all of the things, you have to be balanced in that. You
Yeah.
have to be balanced in that. So today, I've asked God. I can't move on my own capacity. I can't move on my own strength. I have to move in you today, because I need the energy to go to all of the things. I have to set boundaries on Mondays and
Yeah.
Tuesdays. I have to set boundaries with my external life, right?
Yeah.
I need the
Yeah.
capacity. On Mondays are usually my busy days with work,
Mhm.
my full time and my practice. I usually
Mhm.
book a lot of sessions, a lot of assessments, and then in the evening, I have my own clients. I have to have the capacity to carry my clients. On Tuesdays,
Yes.
I have to have the capacity to carry my students. So, therefore,
Yeah.
I set boundaries with my external life. And I'm so grateful for my village, because I've been seeing more of when they call, they're like, and it's something heavy. They're like, wait, can you take this right now? And I will say yes, or I will say no, but I
I love
answer
that.
accordingly.
I
And I
love
do the
that.
same for others. I will, if I'm calling Dr. C3, hey, do you have the capacity for this? Because you may not have the capacity, and that's okay. That's setting boundaries.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because
So
I've
how do you
already
know when to
balanced
tell
myself.
someone? How do you know when to tell someone no? Like, because I feel like that's part of prioritizing yourself. That's the whole
Yes.
self-care. So how do you know if someone they're always used to saying yes to people because they don't want to let someone down? What do you do? What could how would you advise them to be okay with saying no? Like, I mean, I know it's just for us, we were just like, no,
You just
I'm
have to
not
say
at
it.
this moment.
You
Yeah.
just have to say it, because it wasn't so easy for us to say, "Oh no, I can't do this right now." It
Right.
it, that, it wasn't so easy,
Right.
right? You just have to say it, and you have to be okay with saying it.
Mhm.
Like, we have to be able, and this is very important to our mental health, because when you start to deal with your mental health, then you change as a person.
Yes.
Everything about you shifts, and you
Yes.
begin to walk into a confidence and a boldness and I'm trying to think of the word, but basically you walk into a boldness and a confidence about yourself, and your tolerance is not there. And I
Right.
always tell people, when you initially do the work, you have to give grace
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
those that are not actively doing the work, right? You have to give grace
Yeah.
to those that are not actively doing the work, because you're doing the work. It doesn't mean that they have to. And it
No,
doesn't
that's
mean that
true.
they have
We
to do
wish
it.
they did.
Exactly. But it doesn't even mean that they have to do it in the capacity that we're doing it,
That's
right?
true.
Everybody's work looks different. So we
That's
have to give
true.
grace. I just said this yesterday, and I've been very big on this lately. Grace and accountability, they have to live in the same breath. At the end of the day, I will give you grace, and I will give you grace to get your stuff together, right? I will give you grace. I will give myself grace to get myself together. However,
it's the however for me, because I know what's going to come after it.
that next conversation, that next call, have you done anything to fix what you last called me about?
Wow.
And that's the hard part of therapy. So because we want to talk about self-care, right? But we don't want to talk about the hard self-care, the dealing with your internal feelings, with dealing with that negative self-talk, with dealing with those childhood traumas, with dealing with, you know, our bad characteristics that we have as people that come out.
Yeah.
That is self-care. That is the result of putting in the work. When you begin to notice that, oh, I do that. Oh, I didn't know I do that. Oh, how often do I do that? Oh, really?
Yeah. Right.
That's a hard conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
And then being able to sit with it after and then change it. Process and then change.
I like
That's
that.
the most important part. Process, then change.
So how can you tell if you are putting like your well-being first? Like, how can you tell if you say, I'm ready to go through this process. I'm ready to change. You know, I'm ready to do what's necessary for me to be a better person. How can you tell if you are actually putting your well-being first? Like, is there like some indicator that said, like, you wake up one morning and you just realize that, like, oh, wait, like, I'm a better me. Like, I mean, or is it because obviously after the process comes results, you know, if you actually go through it. So, but you know, how can you actually tell if you are putting your well-being first? And I'm not necessarily talking about putting yourself first, but just overall your well-being. That comes with the you know, the boundaries, which can be restrictions sometimes, but the boundaries and things like that. I don't know. How can you tell if you are?
The result of your interactions with all the things in your life.
Okay.
Explain. So that means that some people are going to be upset. That means some people are going to feel away. That means some people are going to be like, oh, okay, all right.
Right.
It's the result of your interactions, and not just with people, but with, you know, maybe work, you know, yourself. When you begin to I remember I started working out last month, and I began to want to work out more. At first, I made myself do it because I knew that that's what I needed to be doing. But then I found myself wanting to work out more. I found myself wanting to eat a little bit, you know, better than what I already was. I found myself, you know, desiring this physical enhancement that I had no desire for previous to throwing myself into it. I had to literally put myself into it. You know, you just, it's the result of your interactions with all parts of your life. You know, if you're building your spiritual relationship, you begin to feel the weight, and I'll say, you know, you begin to feel the pull to want to be in the presence more, to be, for me, to be in God's presence more. I begin to feel the pull, the, you know, with my Father saying, hey, come be with me, come sit with me, please. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I'm coming. Like, you know, you love me, thank you. You know, I'm coming. You know, that you begin to desire things that you've never desired. You know, as I'm getting older, and you know, as I'm getting older, and I am maneuvering into, you know, next steps of the life cycle, right? You know, single with no children, if my husband's hearing this, and you know, you begin to want certain things in your life as you are becoming so well accomplished, and you're like, oh, like, I want that. Like, what does, you know, what does that feel like? You begin to see better results in your work, in your work ethic, in your productivity, all of that. You know, everything just gets better, and you see it, like, you actively see it.
So what then are some of the challenges that you've seen people face, or maybe you think that people face when they are trying to get to where you are right now? And when I say where you are, I'm not talking about like in terms of profession or things. I mean, like in terms of knowing when you need to prioritize yourself and
Yes.
knowing how to prioritize your well-being. So what are some of the challenges that you think people have faced, or that they do face now when they're trying to prioritize their well-being?
Getting used to the shift, getting used to the change. Nobody likes change.
No.
Nobody likes change. It is one
Yeah.
of the biggest complaints. Consciously and subconsciously, passively,
Okay.
and in your face. Like, it, people do not like change. We do not like change. We do not like, for things to shift. We do not like, we enjoy being comfortable. I mean, why would you want to get off the couch if you've already
Right.
nested in your little spot, right? Why would
Right.
you
I
want
mean,
to
sofa sunk in and everything. Why am I about to get up?
Exactly. The perfect butt print, right? The perfect butt print. Why would I want to move? Because I have to. Because I have to.
Yeah.
If I only stay in this environment, how successful, how effective, how productive will I be?
Girl,
I
listen.
can only do so much on a laptop.
Right.
I have to leave my house. I have to go out in community and learn and grow and mess up, and I have to be active in my change, in my shifting. And so that's probably one of the biggest, it's probably one of the biggest things. I will say another challenge would be consistency. Because it's easy to fall. It's easy to fall back into old habits. It's easy to it's easy to get back comfortable on the couch, back in your same area, back in your same little nook, all comfortable and cozy. Consistency, and being able to navigate. I will say being able to just really find your footing in the change that's occurring. But again, it's all change. It's all progressive motion, forward motion.
So what are some things that people can actually do to prioritize their well-being? We're talking about this because May is the month for mental health. There are a couple of months for mental health, which I'm glad there's not just one month. But May is, the first month that we get to for mental health. And so what are some ways that people can begin to prioritize their well-being? I mean, what are, in your professional opinion and also your personal experience, like what are some things that you do when it comes to, no, I'm going to prioritize Alysha today. Like I'm prioritizing my well-being. I have so much that's going on. I need to prioritize my well-being first so I can actually do the things that I'm supposed to do. So what are some ways that you can share with our listeners today and our viewers?
So lately for me, it's been healthy isolation, right? And I say healthy because not too much of it, right? So
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I was just like earlier I talked about that whole like not being isolated and separation thing. But listen, she just said healthy
isolation, because there's nothing wrong with solitude.
Okay.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with solitude. However, too much of anything is never good.
Yes, I agree.
Like you can't balance, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, this past weekend, I spent Saturday by myself, but I didn't spend it by myself in the house. I went running errands, like fun errands, like shopping to redecorate. So I was doing like fun stuff, walking around the stores, enjoying my own little self, right? If somebody called me, I took a call. If I had like a whole interaction with a guy I met in Walmart about tools, and now I might be going to a self-defense class soon. Like it was like a whole thing. Like it was so much fun just interacting with this random person in the tool section, helped me get my tools together. I mean, it was just lighthearted, right? The gentleman was so nice, and you could tell he's a teacher, and you can tell he was ready. He was ready to help me, right? It was so nice. And but it was from me just walking around the stores by myself, enjoying my time with myself. I attempted
Yeah.
to be social in the evening. It didn't go well. I brought it home. So, I came back home. So I had a good day. To me, it was a good day. Yes, I spent all day by myself, but it was a good day. And
Yeah.
I was willing, I wasn't opposed to being with people, but I also wasn't running to be with people.
Yeah. I
So,
understand that.
so it was balanced for me in those moments. So, healthy solitude, right? Healthy solitude. And my apologies if you all can hear my background.
It's okay. It's okay.
But healthy solitude. I'm a big pen to paper type of gal. I enjoy journaling. I enjoy having an agenda, a
Yeah.
paper agenda that I can write all of my things on, all of my to-do lists. I'm a major to-do list girl. So that because it,
Okay.
it helps me at this point in my life, if it is not written down, then
It
it is
doesn't
not
get
getting
done.
done. Right?
Yeah.
Between I have
Yeah.
to write it down and I have to put it in my e-calendar. I've become an e-calendar
Yes.
girl. Shout out to my
Uh-huh.
students, right? So, they have just really blessed my life. They keep me together with the tech. I am not my mentor. Tech is not my area of expertise.
Cause I got tech. Listen, when she said I have pens and paper and it's on my e-calendar. Y'all, let me tell you something, okay? You might call it overkill, but I need all the reminders I can get. I
Yes.
have it in a
Yes.
journal. I have it on paper. I got it in my iPad. I got it on my computer. I have it on my phone. So when an alarm goes off telling me that class is starting at this time, it goes off on every single thing in my
Yes.
watch. I mean, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Like, but I did that. I
Yes.
programmed it to
Exactly.
go off on everything. So,
Exactly.
like, even for this, it said 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗗 at 9 p.m. Everything went off. My watch, my
Yes.
iPad, everything. And if it's connected to the TV, then it'll go off up there. And I'm just like, now you have no reason to say you forgot. When I put it, when I write it down on paper, I can forget. But when I put it in my devices, there's no way I'm going to
Exactly.
forget at all.
Exactly. So I'm
So
a
I'm
pen to
grateful for your
paper.
students.
Yes, yes. Thank God for them. I'm a pen to paper type of person. And I've also, like I said, become e-calendar gal. And so basically my purpose for that, and I'm big on telling people to utilize their notes.
Yes.
So one of the things I've been working on with my clients lately, dealing with their intrusive thoughts, the quickest way is typically our phones. We're always on our phones. We always have our phones handy to us more than we do paper and pen. So I tell them, keep a running note that you can just, date it and put like if you're having these moments, these interactions with people, write those things down. We have to be alert to all of our good and bad characteristics, all of our good and bad interactions with people, because all of that is conducive to our mental health, because it's how we show up in the world. And so there is no way and no reason that we should only be seeing ourselves through rosy lens, because then you're not allowing yourself to be changed. You're not allowing yourself to even be cognizant of the work that has to be done.
Yeah.
If it's almost like how people talk about parents and their children. Like when parents are not holding their children accountable for their actions. Oh, my son would never kill anybody. Well, ma'am, he's a serial killer. So I don't. Okay. It's like we cannot have this concept of rosy lens for our behaviors. That is what breeds toxicity. That is what breeds toxic behavior, is when we are not allowing ourselves to be cognizant of our own behaviors. And when you are aware of your negative behaviors and you still continue to operate in them, then at that point it is manipulative, and
at that point you're gonna need something. You're gonna need a lot more.
Exactly. So those are just some quick skills, right? So
I like those.
prioritizing, being, being
Mhm.
balanced, and by being balanced, you allow yourself to create to-do lists. You allow yourself to plan for the day. And I say the
Yeah.
day before I say plan for the week, because you're in the day. You're in a day. You have to focus on
Woo.
right now in this moment. So you focus on the day, and then you can focus on the week if you have the day
Yeah.
down packed. And then you move into the week. And one of the greatest
Yeah.
things that Dr. C3 taught me is you plan for the quarters of the year in the previous quarter,
Yes.
not at the beginning of the quarter. I'm still trying to get that one down
Yes.
packed. However,
Listen.
I show up as best as I can the last couple of
Listen.
days before the quarter. But that was one of, but it's in my thoughts, right? So if I keep it in the forefront of my thoughts, then I'm working towards being able to do that. And you actively keep working in the change. You can't not ever not be active in the change. You have to be active in the
I love
change.
it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. One of the things that since we're talking about planning, one of the things that I have started doing, which is something that I've always wanted to do. It just took a little while. It just took a little while. Is I start looking at my whole year. I start looking at my whole year. And as multi-passionates, we wear multiple hats. Okay. So, I teach university, and then I also, I teach executives now. I teach, here in China, I teach executives and Lord leaders and all of that good stuff. And then I have a business here with some Chinese clients, of Chinese partners, excuse me. And then I have my brands that are just basically run. It's digital branding, and with DrCharityTV, and my travel brand, 𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗗, the Explorer, and my health and wellness. It's a lot. It's
Mhm.
a lot. And when I'm planning for the whole year, I'm planning for all of these things.
Yes.
I'm planning for all of these things. And so I don't go into detail, but I go into, okay, what's the theme that I want to do for this month with this brand and that brand and that brand? What do I, what type of, and this is when it gets crazy. This is why we're really talking about prioritizing your well-being, because as a visionary, and those of you who, you faithfully tune into the Leaders Lab, you know this. I am a visionary. I see in the future. I have to see the future. I see what I want, and it's all the way back there. And then, so that's the end goal. But then I have to come back and I have to walk it out. I have to walk through every single thing. So I might plan generally for the year, but then I have to come back and look at each quarter and plan for the quarters.
Yes.
But what I've done after I started planning for the quarter, what I've done, especially, and I remember it was just yesterday. That's why I was smiling when you said you and your mom are on this whole, thing about living in the moment. It was just yesterday where I was like, God, that right now I'm only focusing on today. Honey, we got
Yes.
too much to do to be
Yes.
able to, say, well, I'm gonna do this today and do it tomorrow. Nope. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write down everything that I want to accomplish today. And then I'm gonna mark out all the stuff that's unrealistic. Because here's the deal. We can write down 15 things and be like, oh, I can get that done. I can get that done. 10 of those things gotta go. We gotta
And
create
then let
some
me tell
wins.
you this. The thing about being able to plan for the day, when you are knocked off course, because you're going to get knocked off course,
That's it.
it makes the moment just a little bit less stressful.
That's it.
It makes the
That's
moment a little bit
exactly
less
right.
stressful, because you literally have to deal with the left shift, right? You literally have to deal with the shift that you did not see coming, whatever it is, the occurrence that you didn't plan for. You have to deal with it in that moment. So
Yeah.
I tell people to completely deal with it, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Because if I give you $10,000, if you lose $3, are you gonna be upset? No, you're not gonna be upset, because you have $10,000. You have, I'm not gonna do that.
$9,997.
Yes.
$9,997 left.
Numbers are not my game.
Look, now. Me and Math, we may not be besties, but when it comes to money, I'm gonna get stuff.
So you have $9,997 left, right? So just think about if you are thrown off course for 5 minutes.
Mm.
You have 23 hours and 55 minutes left in the day to get what you need to do done, right? To be productive, to be effective.
I don't think I like where this is going.
That's how we have to think about when we are thrown off course in the moment. And mind you, I'm also speaking to myself, but that's why I actively tell people to mentally and physically process that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even try to leave space for things to kind of, go off course. Like, for instance, I know I have one friend. If I go see this one friend, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm only going for 30 minutes. Ultimately, I know I'm going to be there for an hour 30 tops. Hour 30 tops. I already know. I already know. Because it's just the dynamic. People need to talk. Your friends need to talk to you.
Yeah. No, so I totally get that.
So you set boundaries. It's like you said, boundaries are not just with people. Sometimes they're with your own self.
Girl, I was about to say, listen, because the boundaries here, because the thing is, we get, we go all what's the word? You get your panties in a bunch. I was trying not to say that. I was really trying not to say that. I wanted to be a little bit more diplomatic. I wanted to say we get all in the upheaval and the uproar.
All in the tizzy.
But when other people cross those boundaries and when they break those barriers. But what about when you do it to yourself?
And we do it.
You were the one that set the boundary. Yeah,
we do
you
it
were
all
the one who set the boundary.
Yeah.
And then you cross it, but it's okay when you do it. And I have to tell myself that, like, I preach to people all the time. Do not. And yes, I did say preach for this because it's my sermon. Do not spend so much time on social media because you're going to get caught up in the trap of comparing.
Yes.
And I have to catch myself. Like when I am in a not so charity mood. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's just put it like that. When I'm in a not so charity mood, I go and I look at Tony Baker for at least a good hour. I go on Instagram and I just scroll looking at all of his voiceovers with these animals. To me, it's just ridiculously funny. Like, I love me some Tony Baker. For y'all who don't know, like, I loves me some Tony Baker, okay? But I go and I look at that, or I'll look at some other things that are just funny to get me laughing.
Yeah.
Because the Bible is so true when it's like laughter is a drug, okay? That's not what the Bible says, but that's what I say, okay? It says laughter doeth good like medicine.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm in one of those moods or whenever I'm down or something, I specifically go to a page or I watch a movie or something that's funny so that it can help me. That, for me, that's a part of my well-being. I'm a person that really loves to have fun and laugh. And I know when I'm being attacked mentally. I know when, I know the triggers. That's one of the things, like, you have to know your triggers.
Yes.
I know when that season of and when I was younger, I actually battled depression a lot. And so, but growing up in church, we never really talked about that because that's a demon. I mean, and it is a spirit. It is a spirit, but we never talked about that in church. We church girls. So, you don't talk about depression. That's a demon, Okay, but well, fine. What you want me to say? I'm sad? I'm not sad. I'm super sad. Like, I mean, I am heavy. And I need some help. I need help to get through it. So whenever I get into those seasons or those moments, I know the triggers and I shut things down. Yes. I don't shut down. I shut things down so that I don't shut down. You
have to.
Like, I'm like, okay, I can't do this today. Today I don't need to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be around people today because I don't want you to see me in this light. I don't want you to see me in a way that's going to come off as it rubbing off on you, like negativity rubbing off on you too, So knowing my triggers and dealing with that. So, but yeah, those seasons.
That's important. knowing your triggers, that's very important because it allows you to be proactive and not reactive. And
Yes.
that is something that becomes more of your day to day when you are progressing forward in your mental wellness, right? Is
Yeah.
being able to be proactive, being able to know that um so like for instance, in social work we create crisis plans for people, and one of the
Mm-hmm.
questions on a crisis plan could be, what are some dates or memories that could cause the onset of a crisis. And so,
Mm.
it causes people to think,
Yeah.
what are some significant dates, some death anniversaries, excuse me, some birthday anniversaries of those people that are no longer here, or maybe that they are still here, but that relationship is
Mm.
just not where you would like it to be, or it was a traumatic relationship. Are there any holidays that, will onset a crisis? Any times of the year, seasonal depression is a major thing. And so people tend to bottom out at the end of the year and not even realizing that they're not doing well until it's kind of on the back end. I just
Mm.
am really rooting for people to be proactive about seasonal depression because
Yes.
they are stating that it is seasonal depression. So
Yeah.
I'm just really rooting for people to be proactive about it and make sure
Yeah.
that you are connected to the necessary resources.
Yeah. I actually I started doing this I started doing prayer reels on Instagram because I didn't feel like doing all the lip syncing and stuff like that. And I know we've talked about, doing reels on Instagram for quite some time. So I was just like, how can I just be me?
Yeah.
How can I just be me? And for a while, I was just like, okay, Lord, I really just don't feel like doing this. And he was like, for the month of April, just do a simple prayer. For the month of April, do a simple prayer every day. He was like, just call it, real prayer, real problems, real prayers. I was like, oh, that's dope. You see what I'm talking about when I say we be coming up with some fire stuff, you know what
That's
I'm saying?
good.
That
That's
was good,
good.
right?
That's
I'm
good.
telling you, the Holy Spirit would just be dropping them. And he was like, you spell real for problems,
Yeah.
REAL, but real, REEL for
Yeah.
prayers. And I was like, okay, like I know I'm dope, but it's all because of him. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people all the time, like I cannot come up with this stuff by myself.
Exactly.
And so I was like, okay. So then he started having me to like, play on the word real, REAL with
Hmm.
REEL.
Hmm.
And he was like, keep the prayer real turning, real prayer real, prayer really works, things like that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, Lord, you really taking it above and beyond. But I brought that up because just yesterday, the prayer for the reel that I did was on depression.
Mm.
And I was, because I know, like I said, you got to know your triggers. You got to know your triggers. And it's not to say that I don't trust someone who's never been depressed before to pray for me. I'm not saying that, but it's a whole different ball game when you've dealt with the issue that you're
Oh yeah.
praying for,
Oh yeah.
because you feel that thing. And also, not only that, but the prayer reel that's going out for today is against suicide.
Mm.
And for me, like, they're so closely linked. They're so
Yes.
closely linked. And so the thing is, if you don't deal with the trigger, if you don't deal with seasonal depression, it can go so deep that it's
Yeah.
not just for a season.
Yes.
It becomes more permanent, and it
Yeah.
is so damaging. It is so damaging. So one of the things that I've learned to do, and you and I have actually talked about this over the couple of years, because even though she is my mentee, I still see her as my Theranista.
Mm.
So there are times when, especially when she was styling me, there are times when if I call her to say, listen, am I wrong in this?
Hmm.
It was, geez, I know we had a session like that back in 2020 when I was 2021, last year, when I was in quarantine. But also before that, I was talking about the need to separate what I was so familiar with and what I was so used
Yeah.
to. Let that go so that I can become the woman who I've become today and
Yeah.
who I am becoming. And a lot of that, actually, you would think that change, that process, that transition was all celebratory. But I keep telling people this: transition can be very traumatic.
Yes.
Trauma comes due to transition. Trauma is the thing that comes, it can, for some people it comes before the celebration or it comes after.
Mm.
For those who experience the trauma before the celebration, it's just like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, okay, I should have just stayed comfortable where I was. And now here I am, I'm putting myself out there. And it's like, but you're experiencing the trauma because of all the challenges, but then the celebration comes. Then there are people on the flip side of that where they're so excited. It's a new season, it's something new. You're loving it. You're just like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I'm loving this new season. And then that's when, the heaviness comes afterwards. It's like, well, what's wrong with me? Because I was just celebrating. Now I'm feeling heavy.
Yeah.
It happens. Transition can be traumatic, but understanding your triggers, knowing, and so for me, I know when the spirit of depression is trying to attack me. I
Mhm.
know when it's like this trickle, one thought turns into 1,000 in like 2
Yeah.
seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so fast. It just spirals out of control. And for me, I know, okay, I got to take a step back. Now I need a boundary because I refuse to be toxic to
Mm.
other people. I refuse to have toxic people around me, and I refuse to be toxic to other people. So when I'm in that type of situation, like Dr. Licious was saying, knowing your triggers, having that moment of isolation,
Yeah.
it's so that you can come out better. It's so that you can come out better. You're not just sitting there not doing anything. You're prioritizing your well-being, and that means it could mean shutting some things down, temporarily shutting some people out, so
Mhm.
that you can deal with you. So that
Mhm.
you can deal with you. Okay, I know I felt like I just went on a preaching spree. But listen, this is one of your busiest days, and I want to honestly, like I said, I have been enjoying this heart to heart that we've
Yes.
had. And if you're listening to this episode right now or you're watching on YouTube, hopefully you're taking time to prioritize your well-being, and not for just this month, and
Every.
also not even on a monthly basis. Like, you need to do this thing daily,
Yes. Every day.
every single day. And it's mental health is such an important issue, that it's something that we really need to do daily. So,
Yes.
Theranista, Dr. Licious, what final words? Or I wouldn't say final words, because y'all know we're gonna have her back in the lab at some point. I mean, we got Suicide Awareness Month, like
Yeah.
everything. She is about to be okay, just like Dr. Frank Larby is our educational leadership expert. The Theranista, future Dr. Licious, is about to be the Leaders Lab a mental health expert here. So we're gonna be
I'm
calling
okay
on
with
her. We're gonna be calling on her to help us get it together. But what would you say to help us make sure that we get it right in prioritizing ourselves?
balance. Remember
Mm,
that balance lives in the present. You have to remain as present as you can, but you got to be balanced. You got to be balanced in your day. Take the days day by day. Take life day by day. Then take the days moment by moment. Do your best to plan, but when you are thrown off course, then physically and mentally process that all the way through. If you
mm,
are upset, be upset. If you are sad, be sad. But allow
yeah.
that moment to filter on through so that you can get back to your day. Now, if it is something that has to, that causes your day to shut down, then that's grace, right? That's grace.
Wow.
You have room for that, to just shut your day down. And then accountability says, okay, pick it up in a day, pick it up in 2 days, depending on whatever it is, right? Trauma is subjective. It happens differently to all of us. Or just off
True.
course moments. It varies. Everything varies. But it doesn't mean that everything isn't workable, because it is.
I
Control
love
the
it.
things that you have control over. That is the most important part. If you know that you have done everything in your power to do X, Y, and Z, then you have to let A, B, and C go, because you don't have control over those things. And
I
be
love it.
okay in those moments. Being okay
Yeah.
with the shift going from good to bad, left to right, right to left. Be okay with those. And then it's shifting back. Be okay with
Mhm.
all things that shift, because that is life. Be okay with
Wow.
growth. Be okay with your healing. Get comfortable in your healing. get comfortable in doing the work and holding yourself accountable for your own action, because that is a comfortable place that you don't want to leave. You want to continue. You want to be comfortable with growing. How they say being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because being uncomfortable causes us to grow. It causes us to progress. And always remember that, you know, there are simple skills. You know, pen to paper, notes, whether you're an e-person or or pen to paper person, you know, writing out to-do lists, calendars, community, utilizing your resources. You never want to have peers that are just on your same level. You want to have peers that are on your same level. You want to have peers that are above you. You want to have peers that are below you, because as somebody pours into you, you will pour into the next, and then
Absolutely.
you will commence with the people beside you and discuss it and discuss all the things that are going on, right? I tell people that adulting is, everybody says, you know, adulting is the ghetto. Saying that things are the ghetto is like the new term, right?
Yeah.
But I tell people the thing about adulting is, it is one thing about the projects, right? For those that know, you know, right? If you grew up in the projects, the one thing about the projects is it is community. Yeah. Everybody around you is going through the same, or, you know, fairly similar
struggles.
You know? Yeah. But there was always laughter. There was always celebration. There was always community. You know, if I knew that Charity didn't have sugar next door, I have sugar, but I need flour. Hey girl, let me get some sugar. I got some flour. You need some, you know, and let me know whatever you making, and I'll bring you whatever I'm making, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are around you that are going through the same thing and working towards the same thing. Progressive forward movement, right? We are all adulting in this life, trying to figure it out. So you connect to your community and you utilize your resources.
I love it. Dr. 𝙗𝙗, how can the people get in touch with you in case they want to connect with you, and or they want to reach out to you so that they can schedule a session?
Yes. So I am my website is www.theranistawellness.com. You can email me through that site. You can book a consultation through that site. You can also access my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook with all handles at Theranista, 𝗖𝗟𝗖𝗞. You can always, you know, shoot me a direct message. I'm very personable. I try to get to everybody as much and as fast as I can. Give me grace on the timeliness. However, you know, I try to get back. I do make it my business to get back with everybody and connect. So, you know, definitely shoot me a direct message, email me, go through my site, you know, whatever is easier for you.
Excellent. Well, Dr. 𝙗𝙗, Theranista, I thank you so much for being in the lab with us
Thank you
on
so
today.
much for having me.
This was so healing. It was very, very healing. And listen, I want to thank you for listening and for watching the Leaders Lab podcast on today. I cannot express my gratitude enough. It literally humbles me to know that you all tune in every single week to learn from me and my very special guests like Dr. Alysha, or Dr. 𝙗𝙗, excuse me. The rest of y'all can call her Dr. Alysha, but for me, Dr. 𝙗𝙗. And honestly, I hope that you've found value in our content and that it's helped you in your journey to becoming a better leader, becoming a better entrepreneur, to living a more balanced life. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Leaders Lab podcast, download today's episode, rate, comment, and share so that we can continue reaching millennial leaders all across the world. And also, I invite you to connect with me everywhere on social media with the handle at DrCharityTV. And on Facebook, it is at DrCharityTV page. Also, if you have any questions or you would like to be a guest on the show, you can send an email to me at theleaderslab@DrCharityTV.com, and someone will respond in a timely manner. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.DrCharityTV.com.